the tail would get longer and longer because other planes on the ground would take off and they would fall in on the tail.
On the bridges at the Orne River, the German sentries had no idea that 6 British gliders were heading their way.
I'm holding on to the control column and my feet on the rudder bar.
I've got a board with a modified section of map on it and a stopwatch on the top right-hand corner.
The lads in the back were all singing like mad, all the usual soldiers' songs. When we got to the French coast, we suggested they might shut up, because we thought, it would have been a bit odd if complete darkness and everything, and then suddenly out of the sort of voices from thin air were all these songs singing, roll out the barrel and come sit by my side, pretty darling, and all things like that. So they kept quiet.
Just 7 miles from their target, the gliders disengaged from their tow planes. Now they were on their own.
The noise, it just drops away and it's just a gentle shh, hissing sound of the air passing over. You're only doing 65 and there's no noise at all, no engine noise. So it's quite a peaceful sensation,
Very
isn't
nice.
it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The peace would last only 3 more minutes. D-Day was about to begin. "15 minutes past midnight. D-Day was about to begin. The British gliders were heading for a field between the 2 bridges at the Orne River. They had made it this far undetected, but now they had to land exactly on target.
Pete said, there's the bridge. I had a quick glance out of the window and then sure enough.
Heading straight for it.
As you approach the ground, you would then begin to ease back, ease back, ease back. And so she came down and then flared out. You touched down on the main wheels. And I remember tearing along, I'd got the brakes on, and then all of a sudden, everything in front of me disintegrated virtually. I remember this God Almighty crash and water and everything, and I sort of realised I was underwater, and I thought there's not much future in that, and struggled out.
They had landed in a pond about 200 feet from their target bridge. The troops swept out, leaving Jeff behind, badly concussed. Staggering out from the wreckage into the dark, he ran straight into his own men.
They challenged me with the password, and I, in my dizzy state, didn't answer quick enough. He fired in my general direction, and I got hit in the wrist. It was a stinging sensation. I remember that. It was like something, I'd been bitten by a giant wasp or something.
Jeff had been hit by friendly fire, but crucially, they had taken the bridge in just 15 minutes. Only 2 British soldiers had been killed, the first Allied casualties of D-Day, the first of thousands. The glider mission had gone like clockwork. Now it was the paratroopers' turn. 30 miles to the west, over 800 droning C-47s were crossing into France. German anti-aircraft guns opened fire.
You're mesmerized by all the fire coming up, the tracers coming up. When the enemy's moving the gun this way and then back, searching for you at night, the bullets, it's hard to explain, but all the bullets follow in a pattern and it looks like a living snake.
The paratroopers' mission was clear. Rally at the drop zones, then keep the Germans from reinforcing their lines by taking the town of Sainte-Mère-Église and 4 vital causeways behind Utah Beach.
There was so much flak hitting, and all the troopers, they set up like a chant. They said, let's get out, let's get out, let's get out of this damn thing. So when we finally got the green light, it was like a gigantic spring. Everybody went. So the first thing you do is check your canopy all the time. So that's what I did. The first thought, check the canopy. All the tracers coming. I saw the tracers actually going through, and I knew the machine gunner was trying to shoot me, but elevating his gun, he was shooting over me and he's hitting the canopy.
The airborne assault was a mess. Half the paratroopers were scattered hopelessly off course as their pilots tried to evade the fog and heavy flak. Some landed on the town of Santa Maria Glees, only to be riddled with bullets as they fell onto the rooftops. And Rommel had laid yet another trap. He had flooded the fields. Paratroopers drowned in up to 5 feet of water. The paratroopers had to regroup quickly if they were to stop the Germans from reinforcing the beaches. Don Burgett found himself all alone.
First thing you're thinking of is, where can I find somebody, a friend, any kind of a friend, maybe even an enemy, as long as we sit down and talk this thing over.
There was someone out there, and Don didn't know whether it was friend or foe. He pulled out the child's toy given to each American paratrooper to signal to one another in the dark.
I laid the little metal cricket alongside the rifle, and I took a bead on him, and I clicked it, and there was no responding. And I don't care what kind of training you have, but when you come to your first person that you know you're going to kill, there's a feeling that you'll never, my heart beat so hard that I felt my pulse throbbing in my temples, and the sweat was rolling out from underneath my armpits and dripping off my elbows, and there's a sick feeling, and it's something that we weren't raised to do. By rights, this twice I should have shot that man, but then I said, I'll give him one more chance, and so he started crawling toward me, and he got up pretty close to me, and I could recognize him. It was Hundley, and I knew him very well. I called him a couple names, and I said, why in the hell didn't you answer me? Why didn't you click? He said, Don, I lost my cricket. And I said, why didn't you answer me? He says, my throat was so dry I couldn't talk.
At Omaha Beach, the German defenders had not heard the anti-aircraft fire. They were sound asleep.
Hier standen Holzbetten drin.
There were wooden beds in here.
Wir hatten Strohsäcke, auf denen
We had sacks filled with straw to sleep on. There were up to 3 beds stacked on top of each other. I slept in this area in the middle.
Bereich in der Mitte. In der Nacht vom 5. zum 6. Juni.
On the night of the 5th of June, I just got back to bed around midnight when a comrade appeared in the doorway shouting, "Alarm!"
Ruft rein, Alarm. Und wir hatten
The day before, we had heard that there was going to be an alarm drill. So we told the guy off. We threw him out and told him, sod off, let us get some kip in here.
Und haben gesagt, hau ab, lass uns jetzt pennen hier.
He had just left when one of our corporals barged in, screaming into the bunker, "Guys, this time it's crunch time. They're coming."
Kerls, jetzt wird's aber ernst. Sie kommen.
The tank crews heading for Sword Beach had 2 hours to go before they were launched into the sea from their tank landing craft, or LCTs.
Oh, the crossing, oh, it's terrible. And I wasn't a very good sailor, it wasn't the best of times, but the LCTs were flat-bottomed.
Flat at the front and flat at the back and flat either side and flat underneath.
Sitting in bow go like that and you're waiting because you know, and woof, and it dropped down like that and you